Hey guys, we're going to look at linear equations and quadratic equations. Maybe worthwhile at first to see what is the difference between a linear equation and a quadratic equation. So first of all, I think you need to know that a linear equation will have one solution, where a quadratic equation will have two solutions. The second thing is, with a linear equation, you will place all your variables on one side, and it doesn't matter which side you do that, and you will put all your numbers, your constants, on the other side, and then you will solve it. With a quadratic equation, you will have everything on one side. Again, doesn't matter which side it is, and you'll make it equal to 0. Thereafter, you need to ensure that it is factorized, and then you can go ahead and solve. Okay, let's have a look at the first one over here. This is a linear equation because there is no x squared. I know there's no x squared here, but x multiplied by x will make an x squared. So just have a look through this list quickly. You can see this is a linear, there's no x squared. This is a linear, there is no x squared, etc. Whereas on the right hand side, you can see x squared. You've got two brackets, x times x will make an x squared. So those are your quadratic equations. It's important to identify which equation you're working with. So looking at the first one, we said that we are going to, so I just want to change the thickness of my pen. We are going to put all our variables on one side and move all our numbers, our constants, to the other side. So this here has got a variable attached to it, so we will leave it there. You will then move your 4 across, which becomes minus 4. You end up with 2x equal to 2. You would then divide by the 2, so x is going to be equal to 2 divided by 2, which equals to 1. So this solution of x is 1. Looking at the next one, you want to have x by itself, but you have a fraction here. So what you can do is, so when we manipulate these, just a little bit of a fun game is, let's say this is Princess Zafia. Oops. Okay. All right. And we want to rescue her, and we've got to get rid of the 3 and the 2. So how you get rid of them, I know it's not very mathematical, but just a little way to remember it, you do the opposite operation. So this is divided by 3. So that means to get rid of the 3, we would have to multiply by 3. Okay, so if you multiply by 3 on this side, the x will be gone. That means you have 2 times 3 on that side. So you now have left 6 there and x plus 2. Now you want to get rid of the 2. The 2 is added on, so therefore to get rid of it, you would need to subtract it off. So you go 6 minus 2, so therefore x is equal to 4, and you have rescued the gorgeous princess. Okay, let's look at the next one. Well, this princess is being held captive by a whole bunch of numbers. There's your princess, okay? So you want to get rid of the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 1. Okay, so the order in which we get rid of it is we start with the number which is furthest removed, okay, which is the plus 1. So to move that, we're going to go 4x minus 3 over 2. Just leave that as is. And we're first going to get rid of this 1. So we're going to do the opposite. It's plus 1, so therefore it becomes minus 1. So you have left 8 and 8 there. And here you have 4x minus 3 over 2. Next, to get rid of the 2, you would multiply. So you would end up with 4x minus 3, and 8 times 2 gives you 16. You would then get rid of the 3, it's minus 3, so therefore you have to add the 3 on. So you end up with 4x and 16 plus the 3 makes 19. Lastly, you need to get rid of the 4. It's times by 4, so therefore the opposite, so always remember we do the opposite operation, it'll be 19 divided by 4. Okay, let's have a look at the quadratic equations. So with quadratic equations, as I mentioned, quadratic equations, you will have two solutions. You want to put everything on one side. It has to be factorized, and then we can solve it. Now, if you look at this question here, we've actually skipped that first step because it's already factorized. Can you see this is factorized? So all you have to do is just go ahead and solve it. So you have x plus 3 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. So therefore x is equal to minus 3 and x is equal to 2. There can you see you've got your two solutions. See, we've said quadratic has two solutions. Looking at the next one, we're all tempted to multiply out these brackets, but we want it in a factorized form. Factorized equal to 0. It is factorized. So that means x is equal to 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Therefore, x is equal to negative 5. And you have your two solutions over there, 0 and minus 5. Okay, looking at the next one, this bracket is squared, so therefore it's just repeated twice. Okay, so we can write it like this. It's going to be the same answer. It has two solutions, but the solutions are just the same. So it still has two solutions, but they are the same. Okay. Now remember, we said at the top here that your goal is to have everything on one side equal to 0, and then you factorize it before you solve it. So if we look at this one, let's move the 49. I know you can do it from there, but to eliminate us forgetting one of the solutions, let's just do it this way. Bring everything on one side. Now the next step tells us to factorize it. You can see that difference of squares, so that's x plus 7, x minus 7. Okay, now you can solve it. Therefore, x plus 7 equals 0, so x is equal to minus 7, and x minus 7 equals 0, so therefore x is equal to 7. So that was a difference of squares. Now you hopefully recognize the trinomial. Oh, sorry. It's a quadratic, right? We're going to have two brackets. Sorry, I just need a bit more space. You will have x and x, and if you remember to do trinomials, you find the factors of 12, minus them to give you 4. So 6 times 2 gives you 12, and 6 minus 2 gives you 4. So you can put 6 in and 2 in. You will need to make the 6 a positive and the 2 a minus, because plus 6 minus 2 will give you your positive 4. Now, if you remember what we have to do, we have to get everything on one side equal to 0, then we have to factorize it, which we've done now, then we solve. Okay, so to go back, we can now solve. X 6 equals 0. So therefore x is going to be equal to minus 6, or is going to be equal. Again, quadratic, you have two solutions. Just finally, let's look at this one. You have got 6x minus 2. 6x squared minus 7x equal 3. So we said that everything must be on one side equal to 0. Then we need to factorize it, and then we can solve it. Okay, so let's have a look. First of all, can you see this 3 needs to be brought across? So we're going to go 6x squared minus 7x minus 3 equals to 0. We notice this is a special trinomial because 6 cannot be removed as a common factor. So we will have to remember how to do this. 6x squared minus 3. Then we go 6 times 3, which gives us 18. Then the factors of 18 subtracted to give you 7. Well, that'll be 9 times 2. 9 times 2 is 18, and 9 minus 2 gives you 7. So we'll have our 9x and our 2x. Remember, you can put them either way around. Then look at your sign. It has to be a minus 7, so therefore that's going to be minus 9 plus 2. Then we are going to factorize the first two terms by taking out a common factor. Okay, so we're going to go, there is a 3 common and an x, so you have left 2x minus 3 plus, there is nothing common, which means there's actually only a 1 common, not nothing, there's a 1 common, so that means you've got 2x minus 3 equals 0. And just remember that if this sign had been a minus, you would need to alter the sign that follows, but it's not, so we can leave it. That means it's now 2x minus 3 as your common bracket, and then you've got left 3x plus 1. So we are now at this stage where it has been factorized, and now we can solve it. So that means we can say 2x minus 3 equals 0, and 3x plus 1 equals 0. So how do we do this? A normal little linear equation. So you leave your 2x there, you move your 3 across, it becomes plus 3. It's 2 times x, so therefore we're going to be dividing by 2. So it's going to end up as 3 over 2. You can write it as a decimal or a fraction, it doesn't matter. Just make sure it's always simplified. 3x, you move the plus 1 across, it becomes minus 1. Again, divide by the 3, so that is minus 1 over 3. And there are your two solutions. Thanks for watching.